R33 and R34 GTSs and GTS-Ts are legal. The GTR is illegal because it's too fast. Okay, just disregard the McLaren F1 and every other car that's way faster that was delivered to the US. The R35 GTR is not a Skyline, because if they had called it a Skyline, it would have been illegal to sell in the US. What? If Rudnick doesn't buy that white R33 GTR and becomes the most rarest JDM scumbag in Connecticut, I swear, then I'm 100% unsubbing if he purchased any 32s and copies Tommy and every other GTR fanboy in America. Do your thing, Rudnick. Don't copy Tommy, copy Roberto. Okay, but there's like, nope. No, actually, nope. Not gonna bother with that one today. I believe Motorex fully legalized the R33 before they were shut down by the government for illegally importing R34s. I'm not 100% sure though. My cousin's uncle's best friend's sister has an R33 GTS-T and says it's legal. Neighbor has an R34 GTR and it's legal. Motorex R33, R34, GTS-T, GTS4, GTT, GTR. So the real reason is that there was a guy on the run from the cops, had like a prelude or something, and he found a R34 GTR in the junkyard. Obviously was illegal. Well, that guy souped the fuck out of the GTR and was winning races left and right, street races. During his last race, and after it beating a 5,000 horsepower 6-turbo rotary Supra, the feds raided the race and seized his GTR. After dismantling that car, they found out how ridiculous this car was. Basically, it was being powered by weapons of mass destruction that had never been found in... Okay, nope. Alright, that one's obviously a joke. You know what, guys? This ends now. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I got the camera set up, I got my mic out, got my headphones on. This is a serious video. Before we delve into this too much, my Smile Miata shirt came, and it is sick. You guys should get one. They're only going to be available for, I think, 4 more days at teespring.com/bcsmile. Now, let's get into it. And I know what you're thinking. You need to shave. You're right. But also, you're thinking, why are Skylines illegal in the first place? And there's a lot of theories as to why, and I'm sure there are many people that actually know, but there are a lot of people who don't as well. So I'm going to clarify that for everyone. They're not illegal because the U.S. had some vendetta against having Skylines in the U.S. They're not illegal because they're right-hand drive. They're definitely not illegal because they're too fast. The Skyline was never intended for the U.S. market. Therefore, it was never safety tested, never crash tested, being the key, and it was not built to safety specs or emission specs for the U.S. because Japan, Nissan, never had any intent to sell. As you guys are also probably aware, any car over 25 years old can be brought into the US legally. Jake's Skyline is a 1991 Skyline GTS-T Type M, and it is legal, and he did import it all by himself. He didn't have an importer do it. He drove to Canada, brought it across the border, and did all the paperwork himself. Can be done. An importer would probably make things more streamlined, but you can do it. However, there is a constant argument as to whether R33s and R34s are legal, and what R33s and what 34s are legal if they are, and what ones aren't, and the reasons they're legal and the reasons they're illegal. As a whole, they are illegal because they're not 25 years old and they were not built to US safety standards. There are a couple loopholes that allow them, such as the show and display, but you're only allowed to put like 2,500 miles a year on the car, and the idea is only for it to be driven from your house or wherever it's stored to car meets and shows of similar cars. However, a man named Hiraki Nanashowa, probably not right, I probably butchered that, but they called him Hero. That guy said, "Fuck that, I'm not gonna wait 25 years to have a Skyline here. We can make a ton of money if we have them here now. So let's figure out a way to get them here now." Having been working in import business, actually export business, of Chevy Astravans, GMC Typhoon and stuff like that to Japan, he had been working in this industry for a while. And when the yen plummeted, he decided it was a good time to start bringing Skylines into the U.S. He got a loan from one of his previous business partners of $1 million and started the company that would become Motorex. And if you've ever looked into Skylines being legal or illegal in the US, you have definitely heard that name before. Motorex. People will tell you, oh, the R34 is legal because Motorex made it legal. The R33 is legal because Motorex made it legal. That's not true. What Motorex did was independently contract people to crash test Skylines. For Skylines to meet US safety standards, or any car really, they have to pass a front and rear and side crash test. The Skylines did pass the front and rear, but they did not pass the sides. So, Motorex had to lower the door bars on Skylines to make them pass the safety inspections, and there was many other modifications that had to be made to meet the safety standards of the US. Also, to meet EPA regulations, they had to put 3 additional catalytic converters on Skylines to make them legal. Obviously, with making a car that we couldn't have in the US legal and available for purchase and registration and insurance in the US, they had a good audience. So for Skylines to be legal by way of Motorex, they had to make all of these modifications, and they had to be sent away to the US Department of Transportation, a facility externally that would go through everything, make sure everything was done properly, check everything off, and send the car back with documentation, which could take months at a time. So obviously, with a car that wasn't available in the US, but suddenly was, there was a big market of people who wanted them. However, because of the amount of time it was taking to get cars in and sent out to DOT and approved and back, they could not keep up with the workflow. So this is where the Motorex story begins going downhill. Because of such high demand for the Skylines, they had customers bagging on them, wondering when their Skyline was going to be legal, why it wasn't back from DOT yet, why all the approvals hadn't been met. And this was pretty overwhelming to such a small company trying to move so many products on a large scale. This article I read about the situation said they were moving maybe 2 to 3 cars a month, and most of them were 32s and 33s selling for less than $50,000. And when you have many people on payroll and people need to pay rent, and you have to pay rent for the facility and pay for all the testing, they were running out of money quick. But Hero was not apt to think that that was the case and continued to spend money like he had an unlimited amount of it. Hero, who apparently was pretty fond of partying it up, if you catch my drift, Hero started releasing Skylines to customers that had not been DOT approved, and in some cases had not even had the modifications necessary that would make them DOT approved. I.e., he was releasing Skylines that were not legal to be driven on the road and were not legal to be registered, but because they were registered as an importer, they were being released without inspection, and no one batted an eye. This was the ultimate downfall of Motorex, because there were still customers who didn't have their cars yet, and still customers being told they weren't back from DOT yet. They didn't have the approvals necessary, so people started lawyering up, calling the Department of Transportation, reporting issues with Motorex. There were even many customers pulling their cars out of the Motorex inventory, knowing that they were illegal, but if they weren't going to say anything, neither was Motorex, and everyone was going to keep it nice and quiet, a nice don't ask, don't tell situation. As you guys know, every tumbling snowball eventually reaches the end of the mountain where it will sit and disintegrate in the sun and cease to exist. That is exactly what happened with Motorex. Furthermore, they had come to find out that Motorex had only crash tested R33s and noted that R32s and R34s were the same. Just added to the list of sketchy practices that Motorex did over the years that allowed them to stay in business, but you can only sustain for so long. Hero and one of his business partners were caught in the midst of stealing a Honda S2000 RX-8, which was never proven. The owners of said cars was beaten up outside of a bar, and the suspects were confirmed to be Hero and the same business partner that were suspected of stealing the cars. Hero went to jail. His business partner was set on release on a $200,000 bond, which he paid in cash. He was let go. After he served his jail time, nobody has heard from Hero since the end of Motorex, since the beating of the company or whatever it was outside of a bar. Obviously, Motorex dismantled. It is no longer a company, and they're no longer importing Skylines and making them legal. The NHTSA and the Department of Transportation released a document stating that Motorex should have their importing license revoked and that Motorex had an opportunity to respond as to why they shouldn't. All the shady business doings with Motorex, DOT officially pulled Motorex's importation licensing. On March 1st, 2006, NHTSA released a final decision on the matter. All Skylines are to be illegal to import in the United States, with the exception of cars built from January 1996 to June 1998. What? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 1996 to 1998 Nissan Skylines R33s are still legal to import in the US. If, here we go. If they are brought up to US safety standards as dictated by the agreement between Motorex and the DOT. The only people who know what those specifications are the people with Motorex and the people with the DOT, and they are not so apt to release that information. So, sorry guys, no R33s. However, also in 2006, the DOT, Department of Transportation, sent release bonds to those who had purchased Skylines from Motorex, allowing them to register the cars at the DMV. There were still rumors that cars from Motorex had been crushed, taken, sold, exported. Nobody really knows how many Motorex cars there are left or even what they are. So every person selling an R34 is going to claim, yes, it's one of those Motorex cars. That's how it has a title. The R33 GTR, of course it was done by Motorex. How else would I be selling? It wasn't on a big shipping container full of legal S13 parts and tucked away secretly in the back where no one would see it. It's definitely a legal car, no worries, very nice. Long story short, if you can find a Skyline that is proven to have been made legal by Motorex, you can still indeed own it in the US, as it does meet EPA and Department of Transportation requirements. However, proven Motorex Skylines sell for a stupid amount of money. So, if you are in the market for an R33 Skyline and you're in the market for an R34 Skyline, watch out for people who are going to tell you it's a Motorex car. It most likely isn't. I also, as you guys know, I've been shopping for a JDM FDRX7 and ran into a guy who owns an R34 and sells R34s and says he imports them special. Customs lets him import them, and they're all registered, and he gets pulled over all the time. They've been crashed, and the insurance takes care of them, and blah, 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 blah. If that's the case, congratulations to that guy. You have found a loophole and found a way to get the U.S. government to disregard all its safety standards and emission standards on behalf of you making money. Does that sound likely to you? Because it doesn't sound likely to me. So in conclusion, guys, no Skylines are legal in the US except for the ones that are official Motorex cars that received release bonds from the Department of Transportation in 2006. Furthermore, you can import an R33 Skyline as long as it was built between January 1996 and June 1998, and you happen to know the Motorex guys, and they'd be glad to piece it together for you and make it meet US standards. Otherwise, it is not a legal car to own in the US. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this new platform of video. If there's anything you would like me to cover in a similar manner, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. If you guys want to know more about the subject, where I got most of my information was these two articles, both written very well. Automotive journalism is not dead, guys. It's actually still a big dream of mine is to be a writer about cars. I'll put two articles in the description, one from SkylineGT-R.com and one from eBay, actually, of all places, that tells you the full Motorex story and the full regulations on Skylines. But for now, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching because this one was really fun to make. Don't forget to submit your entries for car of the video to curseforeverhelp@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and add me on Snapchat at BigB1011, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.